Hello Year 1, here is your maths lesson for today. We're going to start by reminding ourselves how to do these balanced equations. So that means that this side is going to balance with this side, either side of the equal sign. So if we have a look at the first bit, this says 3 plus 8. So let's have a look at what that's worth. So one thing we can do with these larger numbers is use a 10 to measure. We can see 3 plus the 8 is 11. We can take a 2 from the 3 to make that 8, and there's just one sticking out, which makes that 11. And then here we've got our 2. We could even put it up this way and think about which number is going to go with our 2 to make it 11. So if we try our 9, we can think that 1 is going to the 9 to make that 10, and the 1 left over is going to make it 11. So for that one, I used the shape. Another thing we could have thought about is we know it has to be 11. So if I take away 2, I'm going to cross those out, we can think what would have been left. So we know it's 2 plus something is 11, so we take away the 2, then we see our 9 is left. So some different ways of thinking about that one. So 3 and 8 made 11, and 2 and 9 made 11. Let's try one more of those. Get rid of all these. We're going to use one that's got a subtraction sign this time. Let's think of what number to put here. So for this one, we've got 14 take away 2. So let's have a look at what 14 looks like. And we can cross out 2. And that leaves us with 12. So we need to make our 16 . We need to also make this side equal to 12. So we need to think what we need to get rid of this time. So if we cross out, that's not enough. If I cross out 2, it leaves us with 14. We want 12. So I can see now, if I crossed out 4, it left me with 12. So 14 take away 2 was 12, and 16 take away 4 was 12, and that now balances. They're one of the trickier things that we have to practice in Year 1, so do have a little go at those at home if you think you need a little bit more practice. And the main part of our lesson today is all to do with finding a half and recognising what a half looks like in different diagrams. So we'll have a quick look at these different shapes, and we need to match them up. So be looking for which ones look the same shape. So I can see this arrow is pointing up, and if I put that together, it'll match with this arrow. This looks like a triangle. It's on its side. We've got this one facing in the opposite direction, so they match. And we can see these two are the same shape, but they're the other way around. So these are those shapes matched to their halves. Now, one thing we have to think about with halving is that the shapes need to be halved equally. So each side should be equal. So we'll have a look at this one. It's gone straight through the middle of the shape. Circles, there are infinite ways of cutting them in half. As long as it goes from one side through the middle to the other, you can't even count, there's so many different ones. However, this shape, really they should have cut it down the middle like this. This isn't the same shape as this bit here. So we don't know that they're equal. So it's these two shapes where they've had a look at the shape and cut it so that each side looks the same. Then we know that they're exactly the same size. So have a look at these shapes and make a prediction. Which way would you have cut them up to show a half. And we can see these ones. So like when we were matching up the pictures on that first slide, we can see that this is the same as this, just flipped over. And this side is the same as this side, but flipped over. These shapes you could halve easily, but going down the middle like this, and down the middle like that. And we're going to have a look here to see which ones are halved. So we should see both the area that's coloured and the white area looking the same size. So have a look at this, make some predictions about where you think the shapes are going to go. Are there any where it's really clear that the white area is bigger or smaller than the coloured area? So we can see here that purple area is much narrower, it's much thinner. And the same for this one, that line should have been straight down the middle through the centre of the circle. And again for this one, we can see all those areas they're too thin, they haven't gone down the middle of the shape. And half doesn't necessarily mean just one piece is being coloured in. For this one, there's one line that cuts the shape in half and this is coloured. Now this shape, there are two lines, but we think this coloured piece, this isn't the same size as all the white pieces. Actually, they needed two coloured bits coloured in, and that would show half. Even though the two pieces are coloured in, if you just imagine this line and can imagine this one disappearing, we can see that's going to be half. And for this one, the shape hasn't been cut up equally. If that line was down the middle, it would be half, but it isn't. And this shape, if we imagine that line isn't here, it's been cut straight down the middle and these coloured in. We'll be moving on to something called quarters at the end of the week. This shape's been cut into quarters and two have been coloured in. That's the same as a half. So 4 pieces, a shape cut into 4 equal pieces is called a quarter. Each one is called a quarter. So if you have a look at these and see if you've got some ways of explaining. If we look at this one, let's read the sentence first. All the above objects have been split in half correctly. So I would disagree, most of them have been. We've got a line straight down the middle here, meaning that we've got 2 equal parts. And for the fruit, also straight down the middle, this raspberry, and we can see each side the same. In real life, it's hard to be exact with pieces of fruit. You might have one side slightly bigger than the other, but for these diagrams, that's gone straight down the middle. And for the orange, that's a half, but for the pear, they've gone across, but that means this side, this shape is different to this bit down here. So it's not been cut in half. It should have gone straight down the middle like this to cut the pear in half. We've got this word here, vertically. So vertically is going down and horizontally is going across. It should have gone vertically. You've heard that word horizon in your art lessons. Horizontally means going across like the horizon. And we've got a problem to solve here. 5 cakes were halved. How many halves are there altogether? So if we imagined that we've split each cake like this, down the middle, as you can see with the cursor, each one is going to have 2 halves. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 halves. And let's have a look at the worksheet that you're going to do today. So here is your worksheet for today. For anybody working at home, I'll read out the text. It says, tick the cake that is cut in half. So one of these has been cut in half and one hasn't. 2. Draw a line to split each shape in half. And for some of these, there will be more than one correct answer. Colour half of each rectangle. This shows how rectangles can be split in different ways. Show half in 3 different ways, so use your ruler for this one. See if you can cut the shapes in half in 3 different ways, a different way for each box. 5. Tick the shapes that show 1 half. And 6. Use a ruler for this one as well. Match the halves to make a whole. And there are also some reasoning problems for today. And they look like these, and there will be another video that will go over these with you afterwards.